So, and full screen. All right. So I actually am going to have some nice things. So today's focus is, of course, in the upper body and the trunk area. And I really consider that the abdominal area is a very, very key area that it almost you have to go into with layers. So because it has such a strong influence on the spine and on the pelvis, and also on freeing up and the whole upper body. So a few things. Neither of you, I know Linda, you do Pilates, but a lot of times people who work out a lot, they get very, very tight in the diaphragm. And in my experience working with different types of people, a lot of people have problems. They cannot inflate sideways or backwards, and they're locked in. And that's a problem of over contracting. The base of the ribs needs to be able to really expand and elevate the body. So we're looking to create the lift. We're looking to create as much separation as we can between the pelvis and the rib cage, so there's more traction. So herniated hips, painful lower backs, and all of that basically relieve themselves. So before we start, we will be having 2 black balls. If you need to go and pee, do this right now, because it's not fun to roll around on a full bladder. So I'm just mentioning that because you will, I'm happy to wait if that's the situation. So as neither of you are jumping up and running, we're working with 2 black balls today. And what we'll be doing is we're placing the black ball just above the pubic bone and the second ball above it. Now, when you do that, depending upon the length in your body, you need to be very careful not to get it into the ribs. That's the one thing. It has to come, it can come as high up, but you cannot let it get into the ribs because, and I'm going to go speaker view, you can break a rib if your bones have not been really stimulated and strengthened. And because at the beginning of this work, people can have fragile bones. You can make very strong bones with this work, but you need to kind of enter the more delicate parts like floating ribs and xiphoid process with over time and familiarity. And then I put pressure on every bone in my body that I can get to, because I know it feels wonderful and it's creating a resiliency. But to start, let's go on our side and take the first black ball and get it on the pubic bone, and then roll a little bit backwards. So the ball is just above the pubic bone, and then lift up. I know you're both able to, and place the second ball on top. So Arlene, I don't remember if you're tiny, I don't remember your height, but if either of you feel that the ball is right up in danger of being on your rib cage, you need to push the ball down and err in the, in my case, I'm 5'6", so I am just at the navel. So pubic bone to navel, and you want to just take a moment and settle down into this area. A lot of tightness in the area and a lot of tension in the organs underneath the surface muscles. So you want to allow all of that to ease. Very nice to drop down. It intensifies the pressure into the balls. So we're going to stay here with some deep breathing to allow all of this area to start to soften and release and lengthen. So take a breath in, and on the breath out, really sink and see if you can feel whatever you're feeling, because I'm sure there's a lot that you're feeling. I recommend keeping your head down, but I'm going to lift up so I can see what's going on a little bit. On the breath in, every time check that you're lengthening the ribs away, and on the breath out, you really soften down. Keep doing your deep breathing and keep exploring. How can I let go a little bit more? How can I become softer? How can I allow the balls to go deeper? And also very gently check to see how your tail and sacrum is feeling. You want your glutes to be very relaxed. In fact, you keep checking that you're not tightening any muscles, so it's just the weight of the bones. But in an ideal world, you also want the sacrum long, kind of draped over. So we'll do another deep breath, filling up the whole back and the front, and on the breath out, let yourself sink a little bit more down. And if you're not right up against your ribs, you will roll your body down a little tiny bit and the balls come up. So take a moment here, because this again intensifies everything. Also literally lifting up your bladder, maybe your uterus. You're kind of moving the organs and stimulating them as well. So deep breath in here. If it's painful, you push your belly out into the ball. And on the breath out, you attempt to surrender and melt and soften. Breath in. Breath out, letting go of any residual tension you may be feeling. Trying to really allow the balls to go in. So each point in the abdomen can have a story of what's going on. So it really takes a lot of sensitivity and patience and inner getting in touch and allowing the balls to go in. It can relieve so much, but this is intense work. Breathing in and breathing out. As you're relaxing over the ball, just for a moment, stretch your arms out on the floor. Keep your head on the floor if you're okay with it, and just feel the length and hopefully the separation that's starting to happen in your back. And either keep your hands here or bring them back, and if both hip bones are probably up off the floor, maybe not, just roll them from side to side. So you're dropping one hip towards the floor, the ASIS, and just pause here for a minute. So we've slanted the balls a little bit. Take a few deep breaths, take your time, allowing the sensations to go deeper, the balls to go deeper, and for your body to unwind. And then roll in the opposite direction. Again, taking a breath in, breath out, breath in, breath out. And now come up on your elbows. And again, slightly, maybe you lift off the ball if that's easier. You roll a little bit up. Now, be very perceptive where those ribs are. You don't want to be into the ribs, so don't move up if you're right there. And the higher up you are there, you will start to feel the tension of the diaphragm and a lot of nerves up there that can get very tight. So be very respectful of what you're receiving. Big breath, lengthen and stretch the ribs. Really pull them away from the hips. On the breath out, see if you can soften down. Take your time. It takes me a few breaths to be able to get all the way to the floor because there's so much I'm working through. Oh, just let go of something else. Breathing in, lengthening. If you want to dig your toes into the floor, you can even lift your knees for a minute and then relax down. See if you can do it without tightening your muscles. Breathing out, sinking. Allowing the balls to make a lot of space between the ribs as we're moving up there. Breathing in and breathing out wherever you are, and very gentle roll of the pelvis in one direction, seeing if you can go deeper, making sure you're still using the breath, allowing all of that unwinding and deprogramming of what's inside. Breathing in, rolling to the other side, allowing the surrender into the balls. And if it's too much, you don't. You take your time. It can be very, very intense. Come back to the middle, Lift up one more time and lengthen. Just feel the traction. Now there's less pressure on the balls. There's more traction because we've opened up the muscles. You want to feel that opening in the chest a little bit. How the ribs are again pulling away from the hips. And then slowly roll off the balls, thank goodness, and lie on your back. And just kind of feel. There's this probably a huge relief and also a sense of space. And observe like what you're feeling in your back, what you're feeling in your stomach, what you're feeling in your chest and your ribs. And just notice all those things and allow the nervous system to embrace and kind of settle down, because this is intense work. And then let's have you roll to one side and come on up. So we're still working with the two balls. Now we'll start on the ASIS with the ball above it, and then we roll. The position is actually just inside this, the hip bone area, that bony area. So what we'll be having is the bottom ball rolled inside it. So the feeling is that this bone is wrapping around. So closer to the bone than to the pubic bone, depending upon how wide your pelvis is. The idea is that as we cradle, we're widening. It's like we're taking these two bones, we're making them wider. And again, same thing. This now, very important, because here the ribs go down, that you have to be even more careful to get that lift so both the balls fit in. And again, if you can't do it, you get rid of one of the balls. So take the two balls, I usually lay them down, and I take my hip bone and I just drape it over the edge and I roll down a little bit. So I'm finding, I take the first ball as my key positioner. I want to feel where it's sinking in on the inside of that bone, aiming down in the direction of the pubic bone. So you first of all, in fact, let's just take a moment with the one ball for a minute, because this is already the iliacus and there's a lot that can go on here. So just take a breath in, feel the cradle of the bone wrapping around the ball, and as you breathe out, can you sink down and allow that area to stretch and widen? A lot of tension in this muscle. It really affects the pelvis and the hips a lot. Breathing in, breathing out. Let yourself relax over this ball. Here you can possibly also gently move the pelvis down, or the pubic bone down, to create even more traction over the ball. Breathing in, breathing out, and lengthening into the ball. Now, can you get the second ball in? So it's cradled on top, and we're adding more length on that right side area. See if you're able to settle down over these two balls and create this massive length in the back. Actually, you'll notice sometimes people with very curvy backs, it completely open up and decompress without working, but by releasing the front. Big breath, breathing out, allowing the balls to sink deeper, allowing the body to sink deeper. Breathing in, lengthening the ribs away from the balls. Breathing out, sinking down. And now you can do both legs, but without tension in the muscles. See if you can roll them a little bit, just to check where the hip socket is in relation to the pelvis, because there's a lot of tightness the iliacus can have, that muscle deep inside the lower ball is digging into in the relation to the bones, the bone of the thigh. So you want to just check that. And in this position, take a breath in now, and on the breath out, roll your pelvis down towards the floor. So as the ball's on the right side, it's the right hip rolling down, so digging in, kind of pushing everything a little bit towards the midline. And then big breath in and rolling the body in the opposite direction so the ball really pushes up nicely into the bone. I can feel the second ball up against my rib, but it's underneath, so I'm actually stimulating my diaphragm a little bit. And again, breathing in, rolling a little bit to the outside on the out breath, allowing the cross fibering to really help release. And again, breathing in, releasing, relaxing, sinking in, and allowing everything to go to the other side. Come back to the middle. So there's just a little bit, the other hip is kind of floating, and stretch the arm, the right side arm out. So you just want that length. If you can lift a little bit, you want that extra traction, and on the out breath, just relax down. Again, breathing in, stretching the arm away, using the other hand to help get that length, and lift if you're up for it. Breathing out, sink and relax. And one more time, breathing in, lengthening, feeling the pressure, checking that you're actually softening into the balls. You're not actually gripping as much as you can. You keep letting go and relaxing. And now, bend this knee. Check that you don't want the knee out to the side, although you can get it straight, bend it, and with your hand, both of you are quite flexible. I think you can do this. You want to pull it in. Just because we're relieving the psoas, and we're also relieving of the connections into the hip. So it can create a nice opening. Now, can you roll the hip and the foot out? So it'll open and stretch. Take a few breaths here. Come back to the middle. See if you can change hands and a little bit the other way. See if you can, not the foot isn't leveraging you so much. I'm trying to get the foot and the leg to turn more than the hips to drop fully, because then I lose the focus in the ball. But you want to still have the weight into the ball. Come back. One last time, sinking into this side, pulling the ribs way away from the balls, lengthening that front body as much as you can. And then roll off. The balls lie on your back, and enjoy whatever you are experiencing now. On my end, it feels really funny because this one side we just worked, I feel so long, and the other side feels much shorter. So just check in, notice what you're feeling, just enjoy the sensations. And let's go for the other side now. So again, you want, it's nice if you start on the hip bone, so you just kind of feel it. And then roll down and in. So you rolled off the hip bone onto the inside of the hip bone and a little bit down. So it's kind of in the direction of the pubic bone. So we'll take a few breaths here to allow the drape of the pelvis around the ball and really allow the ball to dig in and unwind any tension. Sometimes there can be a lot of tension in the glutes. There can be tension wherever you're feeling it. That's your story, because it's different for different people. So deep breath in. Breathing out, let yourself sink into the ball. Breathing in. Breathing out, sinking down. One more time. Big breath in. Big breath out, sinking down, and then rolling the hips a little bit to one side. So you're stimulating, you're wrapping that bone around the ball. You may feel a lot of heat sometimes when areas have been tight and they start to release. There's a whole flush of fresh blood that comes in. So just gently moving back and forth, looking to loosen up some of the tightness that can build up there. Letting the body let go of the old story. And then lifting up, once you come back, lift up, cradle that other ball close in on top of it. So now make sure you have all of this length happening, and then slowly bring yourselves down onto the ball. Make sure that, watch out for those ribs. You want to be sure you're not digging into the ribs. Do whatever you need to do. You can even twist the bodies a bit if you want to. Don't get that ball. You want, if anything, under the rib cage, not on the rib. So here we go. Just a few long breaths here. Breathing in. Breathing out. Lengthening the ribs away from the hips. Breathing in. Breathing out. Sinking, wrapping around, allowing the body to decompress and unwind. Breathing in and breathing out, sinking in. Take the leg on the floor and just roll it in and out. Very relaxed, lazy kind of rolling to see all of those connections and how they're affecting the connection of the hip socket. And then roll the pelvis, the left side now down in the direction of the floor. So you're wrapping more deeply over the balls. Take a few breaths here. The breath can be such a key tool to help unwind and bring openness and flexibility in. And it's a skill that I still don't use enough. And I really invite you to constantly checking in. On the in-breath, you send it right down into the ball, into that section in the body. And on the out-breath, you melt that area and you get in touch with any tightness that you may still unconsciously be holding on to, with the idea that you will consciously start letting it go. Now roll the pelvis in the opposite direction, still using the pressure into the ball to keep opening up and widening the pelvis. Breathing in, breathing out, allowing the hip bone to be widened and the space of the waist to be lengthened. One more time. Now roll yourselves back so that both hips are about even. And first of all, bend this knee. See if you get a sense of the leg going straight down. And pull the foot in to create traction. Open up the hip flexors perhaps. Lengthen the quads. Depends on what your body's doing. Now you roll the hip and the foot out. So you're rolling over, just lots of different ways you can interpret this. Using the rotation of the joint of the foot, the leg in the socket, and then the roll of the pelvis. There are two different places that movement potential is available. So kind of checking in with your body. What can you do to really separate out and give more space and health and vitality? Come back up, change sides, and see if you can roll in the opposite direction, now with external rotation, allowing the joint to open and the pelvis to roll so that the balls are kind of cradled on the inside. Come on back, lengthen the leg out, and lift up. So you're lighter on the front ball, and just roll backwards a little bit so the balls are coming up. Again, be very aware of where that top ball is. You want to make sure the ribs are wrapping around it if you're up close there. So just be aware of that, and then slowly take your time. The higher the ball is towards the diaphragm, the more of a story can kick in. It's a different type of story from the lower part. The all intense. Allow yourself to settle. Take a breath. Breathing out, sink into those balls. It's a form of a surrender and a softening. Breathing in. Breathing out. This is also the area of your stomach. That side has the stomach, right side has the liver, all kind of cradled under the diaphragm, going down towards the waist. So lots of internal organs that you're stimulating as well. And then reach the hand out. Just stretch it to allow even more space. And then take the foot on the ground, lengthen the heel and lengthen it backwards so you create space in the opposite direction. Just work it for yourself. You can rock the hips a little bit if you feel like it. If it's too intense, you just lie there and breathe and allow the balls to do their magic, opening up areas that can have a lot of emotions, a lot of congestion, a lot of stagnation, just cleaning up and spring cleaning and regenerating everything. A lot of scar tissue. We can have a lot of scar tissue as well. Very often people have had surgery, cesareans, all sorts of stuff in the abdomen. So you can be visiting a lot of that. You have some of it. One last time you bend, breath in, stretch away, lift the ribs one more time, sink into the balls, and then slowly roll off and allow yourself to feel the front of your body, the back of your body. Whatever is going on, there's a lot we just worked on. All right, so definitely more balanced out on my end. So we are going to do one more set with the double ball. So we're really going into a lot of detail today. So we had the front line, and then we had the more wide lines. And what we're looking to do is get as much length and space here so that the back actually just drops and stops having to be so gripped. And so we will do this first one. We were just here. Now we're further down. We're like at the side of the pubic bone and then up. So we will be doing like the equivalent of 5 lines. We were in the middle, then we were out. Now we're between the middle and out, coming up. So we're just kind of doing the whole thing today. So place the ball on the side of the pubic bone on the right side. So just like you're rolling off the pubic bone. So take a moment and just feel into that area. The pubic bone as well can have a lot of pain, tension. So you're stimulating right now the tendons that attach into the pubic bone. So seeing we're here and we're just stimulating this bone, let's just pull the body up so you go to the bottom of the bone, because the whole bone can be a wonderful area to visit. So you want to be on the side of the pubic bone, close to the bottom, just taking a few breaths here. Breathing in, breathing out, just stimulating that bone, allowing it to unwind and allow it to decompress. I said, it's very unique, but for many people, the pubic bone can be very, very painful. And, well, I don't think either of us, any of us are menstruating right now, but during menstruation, we wouldn't be doing this. Breathing in and breathing out. Now rolling just off the pubic bone, a little bit up, so you're kind of at the higher level there, cradling, pushing into the side. Let's just take 2 breaths in here. Sinking, feeling it. It's nice to go down. And breathing in and breathing out. And you may feel you can take much deeper breaths now since you've opened up higher up. So let's get that second ball in. So we're in the kind of area, not on the midline, just a little bit to the side. Big breath in, lengthen the body, sink, and breath. And again, breathing in and breathing out. One more time, breathing in, pushing into the ball even, breathing out, and then gentle rocking from side to side. So now the lower ball is stimulating the whole area of the side of the pubic bone. And you're kind of starting to create a lot of decongestion with the tendons that connect in there. And then roll yourself up. So the body moves down, the balls are moving up. Maybe in my case, the top ball is in the area close to my waist and below, but then again, I'm about 5'6". So big breath, breathing out, lengthening everything down. Big breath and breathing out, lengthening. One more time. Big breath, breathing out, melting into the balls, and now rocking slightly with the hip bones from side to side. It's probably a lot less intense now because we've already spent so much time on the ball. So the stomach area, I hope, has released quite a bit of its surface tension. And then lifting up again, pulling the ribs away from the pelvis, so even more lengthen the whole band of the stomach, moving down, checking that again, even more length in the stomach area, pulling the ribs away so that there's all of this amazing space and sinking down. So now, in my case, the upper ball is close to the ribs, but not on, under. So I'm penetrating into that area. Breathing in, breathing out, lengthening. If you're starting to be looser, you can always traction an arm and a leg away from each other. Check that you're relaxing and sinking and not gripping when you start to do too much traction. Then again, rolling from side to side. Allowing the hips to fall. One more time, rolling. And now, lift up again and just feel where your ribs are. You want to be sure that you know exactly where your own rib is, because we're going to do one more roll up, and you want to, depending on the amount of sensitivity, it can be pretty tight. You want to feel that you're lifting and then wrapping the rib over the ball. So just pace yourself with this, because at the beginning, we're really like getting underneath the ribs a little bit. Opening and widening the rib cage. We're also asking the ribs to kind of, you could say flare, but they're more like they'll find their real space. And again, if it feels right, you can move from side to side. Just gentle rocking movement. And notice when you breathe that maybe the ribs open a whole lot more. So there's more capacity for air and more freedom for the breath to go everywhere, cleaning out any old congestion. So good for the lungs, all of this work, because it basically frees up the structure around the lungs to have more movement. Now, one last breath. Again, traction your body, reach the arm, extend the leg, get as much space as you want to get and you're able to get today, opening up and then roll off and lie on your back. Just take a breather, let the nerves settle, let the body kind of normalize and notice how you feel. And then coming up, we'll do the last journey. So we start, remember, on the pubic bone, a little bit to the side. Now we're doing the left side. So you want to feel the pubic bone and stimulate it on the left side. So you're just putting pressure into the bone. You could even very gently move your pelvis around to feel the pressure. One side can be quite different from the other. See if you can send that breath into the area and now roll up a little bit so we've gone right to the bottom of the pubic bone on the side. Sometimes you can literally grab the bone and it starts to be more mobile as you're loosening the tendons and the muscles that connect into it. Big breath in. Breath out. Big breath into that area again. If you want to move the pelvis, you can just further stimulate the angles that are connecting into that bone. Very different in my body, one side from the other, almost like a completely different planet. I need to work my left side. Now, rolling up a little bit on the bone and then off. So now I'm on the side of the bone. You want to feel the side, kind of the groin area, and just take a few breaths here. So we're stimulating this attachment into the here we go. Breathing out, attempting to sink as much as you can. Breathing in. Breathing out. One more time. Remember, you can play around. If something feels like your body wants an extra stretch, it's completely up to you. Breathing out. Now, let's take the second ball, get it down there, and drape yourself over. So allow yourself to settle into the balls. A whole other story with the two balls. Making sure, again, you're always looking to make space in that waist area. Breathing in, breathing out, separating the ribs from the pelvis. Breathing in, breathing out. One more time, breathing in, breathing out, and gentle rocking of the pelvis from side to side. Letting the balls do their magic. And noticing if there's points that you know in your body need extra attention, you can always go back and visit them or stay there, because you can spend that time really getting in touch. Oh, here's a grippy area. Let me see how I can relax and breathe and let go of that story and allow the body to unwind. Now take a breath in, lift up a little bit, pull the ribs away from the hips and roll down. So now the balls are coming up higher. They're coming in towards the rib cage with the upper ball. See if you can relax down. Again, the ball is going more in direction under the diaphragm. Breath in, breath out. You can lengthen and play with your sacrum and tailbone a little bit to move and create traction. Again. And one more time, rolling from side to side. Feeling the hip drop down and noticing the effect as you do this. And then lift your rib cage. It's probably easier to traction those ribs away. And remember, we're aiming now underneath. In fact, reach down like we did on the other side. Just feel for your own ribs. Kind of notice where they are. And then as you go a little bit more up, be sure that the ball is, the ribs are breaking over the ball so that you're stimulating your diaphragm a bit. Now take a breath in and feel how it's spreading the whole rib cage. And as you breathe out, release. Breathing in, it can change the shape of the whole rib cage once the diaphragm starts to be opened up more. And a lot of tightness and inability to take deep breaths can be a story of the past. Once you let go of that chronic tightness, it can be in there. If you feel like it, you stretch your arm and you stretch your leg for extra traction. See if you can stay heavy into the balls at the same time. Just kind of notice it. Very long. And one last rolling side to side with the hips. Lazy movement. Feeling what's going on. Letting go of any residual tension. Any tightness. Letting the muscles decongest and go back to their normal, relaxed, long, tension-free state. And then roll off the ball and just roll onto your back and lengthen the legs out and see what you feel like. And I'm hoping you have a lot more space. So just for a moment, let's have you come up after you're done and come to a standing position, because this can have a profound effect on your posture. So just stand for a minute. Feel like you may even feel wobbly, because there can be so much natural lift and space in the front body that it changes the whole rib cage. And there is a natural buoyancy that comes in. And just do a few walking steps and notice the whole different type of body sensation that you can have as a result of this. Very often, the lift can be so easy, and there's this natural uprightness that the body has that is surprising. And then just come back down. I hope you enjoyed your elegant self. So it can be quite spectacular. I've got some very elderly client. I have a specific lady who's completely like this. And when we started doing the stomach work, she was like, oh, I'm like a different person. I can breathe. I can hold myself up. I'm not working so hard and not to be collapsed over. It was really, really, I was pretty amazed myself. So we're going to work up one side of the spine. So we balance the back with the front, one side of the spine and the other. We're going to start with the black ball and then go with the silver ball as we go up the back, the spine. But I wanted to start with the black because you're both really in shape and you know your bodies. So when we do the side, I would like you to feel down and find your own tailbone. And I'll tell you why I want us to do this today. The tailbone is another area for beginners you never put full pressure on because it can break. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to the side and we're stimulating the side of the tailbone because that's the very end tip of the whole nervous system going up and down. And it opens up a lot of energy for the spine to work. So literally just grab between your own cheeks, it's you and you, and feel around there and see if you can find where your tailbone is. Because what we want to do is we want to go right to the side of that. And to get there, you may need to be spreading your flesh and cheeks apart when we get into that area. Because what we'll be doing, we're starting on our sit bone, stimulating it because we want to just open it up. And then we're going to go from the sit bone up to the side. So it's really deep down there. And then move up the sacrum, then we'll shift to the other ball. So it is very, very nice. It creates a huge amount of space. And a lot of people, the tail is no longer hanging straight. You've had a big fall, maybe as a kid, who knows what, but it can get jammed. So we want to very sensitively just put energy there. So starting out on one black ball, just on the sit bone. So we're not in the spine yet. We're just on the bone. And just take a breath. And breathing out. Let that bone just become stimulated. Spending time on the bones. Doesn't seem like we're doing anything, but we are doing a lot on a very deep level in the body. We're starting to send messages literally through the bones to kind of wake up. And as we get older, the bones dry up and become brittle. They actually lose life force. And this somehow is bringing back the intelligence of the bone to start to kind of be younger. It's amazing. Roll, I'll turn this way. I hope you can see. You're going to roll down a bit. And then up and into the tendon. So you're going forward, the ball is now under. And we'll do this 3 times. Breathing in here, as you breathe out, sometimes I grab my butt muscles to help traction the flesh so the ball is pressing up. Breathing in, breathing out into the tendon. And one more time, breathing in. And down and into the tendon. Come back, up on the bone. Now we're rolling out, so I haven't started into the spine yet. We're just getting the base of the pelvis ready so it will be free. The more you can get pressure in, that's a nice area. Rolling up a little bit. Pressing the glute and the side glutes. Now we're into the side glutes and down. So we're kind of riding the side there. Up. Wherever you want to be. And down. So now I'm literally kind of riding into the side of the thigh bone, which is more on the outer part of the leg. Amazing little tiny bone, which is our thigh bone, and so many powerful muscles. And just waking this area up a little bit. Come back to the middle. Now here we go. I'm actually pulling my flesh out one more time, so I'm really nicely pivotally there. And now start rolling in. So we're just going to do a few movements. We roll up a little bit and roll down a little bit. Maybe you can already feel your tailbone on the side, into the tendon, rolling up. So it's kind of riding up the side of your butt crease, you could say. Stimulating this area, making space there, and down. This is an area no massage person will work on you. There's so many body parts that you have the privilege of really healing and treating very therapeutically that, you know, for whatever reasons, unless it's surgery, but you don't need surgery, you can do it. It's funny. Now, here we are. So now, one more time, I'm moving the flesh out and I'm coming right up to the side of the tail, just to feel it there. And I'm leaning a little bit in, so I just get more pressure, and I'm separating the glutes out from the tail a little bit, but I'm creating traction into that area at the same time. Pay close attention if there's any tension or tightness. Big breath. Breathing out, sinking, and now roll a little bit further up. So we're tracking into the side of the sacrum. Breathing in, breathing out, sinking, and rolling a little bit further up. So we're dragging the glute muscles, you could say upwards, but the focus is the sacrum, the side of the sacrum and the fleshy part there. Breathing out. If you want to, you can be on your elbows and roll a little bit further up. Breath in, breath out. I'm actually using a little bit of pressure with my body into the ball because it feels really good. Breathing out, because again, the bony part of the pelvis gets so much impact. Roll a little bit further up. So we're still in the pelvis towards the top of the sacrum. Breath in, breath out. If it's hard for you, you can have your hand here. You can hold on like this. Breath out and roll a little bit further up. Just iron out towards the waist. And come on. So we just wanted that first stimulation with the black ball. And now we are going to shift from the black because we're going to continue up on the left side and just sit up nice and tall. So we're back at the sacrum now. We're going to move up, down, up at the sacrum on the side. So I'm wedging the ball just a little bit out and I'm leaning over it. So it's a bigger surface, so it's easier. And breath in. Now remember, we've made this length, so you might as well take advantage of the length as you push in. You don't want to lose it. Now lift the hips a little bit and roll a little bit down, so you're kind of moving up. So now I'm in my back because the ball is so much bigger. Breathing out, sometimes I'll use one hand and I'm putting pressure into the side of the spine. Breathing out. Breathing in and lengthening the ribs and going out. So always trying to create more and more and more that tractioning that we've opened up with the front. Roll down with the hips a bit so we're even further. Breath in, lengthen and press. So notice I'm not kind of draped over and arching. It's like I'm trying to pull myself as long as I can and then put pressure into the side of the spine. Breath in, breath out, and then lift and roll further up. Now you want to be on the rib cage, lower rib cage, side of the spine. Breath in, lengthen the ribs. Breath out. Breath in, lengthen, breath out. Making all of this space in the trunk. Even though Pilates, we talked about it, I have so many habits of creating shortening. It's been a very lovely process to educate my practice. And I know you ladies would totally agree. It never ends. It's so interesting. Breath in, So you rolled up, you should be at the side, below the shoulder blade or into the shoulder blade now, but your focus is onto the side of the ribs. Side of the spine, because what we're doing is we're running up the side of the spine to stimulate. And then lift, roll a little bit further up. So we're decompressing the spinal column. Breath in, breath out. Opens up a lot of energy and relaxation. People that are very tense or can't sleep or find they get really agitated, this can be so wonderful for them. Lengthening out, creating that nice length. Lift and roll a little bit further up. So now I am just about at the top of the shoulder blade area, close to my neck. Breathing out. Sometimes I'll lift my hips here to get more pressure into that part. Hard to get into. And breathing out. So that's up to you. It depends upon the congestion and the comfort level. But you can actually leverage body parts to get more focused pressure into the area where the ball is if you're ready for it. And one more time. Breath in, pressing into the ball, and breathing out. Now, from here, we roll up into the neck. So you want to be sure it's like the side of the neck that you're going for. And as much as you're able to check to see, I'm kind of looking in your direction, but really my face should be up. So two things you want to focus on. The shoulder going down, and you can grab the ball and traction that side of the neck. Literally, I'm hooking the ball and pressing it up. So breath in. And on the out breath, I'm creating more length into my neck. So I'm really grabbing the top of the skull and pushing. Breath in. Out. Breath in. Breath out. Now, so we pull the skull up. We move down a little bit. So now it's cradled right on the side of the neck. And now we'll do the opposite. So we're pushing the neck in and stimulating the side. And literally, if you want, you can press sides to bringing my head this way. I'm arcing it, so I'm stimulating the curve of the neck. And on the out breath, pressing in and lengthening the back of the neck. You can use your feet to find where does your neck need this. So from C7 up to the head, there should be this nice curve, but you also want the neck to move in all directions. So you just want to find how can you make that area, long bones, pulled apart. Many people have herniated and collapsed bones down there. No more cartilage, so we want to open it. And breathing out, pressing in. And just for fun, let's roll very slowly to the side and just get the side of the neck. And it's no longer the spine, but let's just go here. So you're on your side. Check that your head isn't forward, it's lined up. And press into the ball a little bit. Breath in. Breath out, lengthen the, drape the neck over the ball. If you want to, you can pull the head up and drape over the ball one more time, just pulling those trapezius muscles down. Roll onto your back and just feel the front and the back of your body. So again, I've been doing my left side, huge amount of space now in there. And then come up. Let's get the black ball again. And we'll do the other sit bone. So pulling the flesh out a little bit, finding your own bone. come on up on top of it. So you have a nice lift. Notice, I'm hoping that you can feel how much lift there is in the whole body as a result of the work we've been doing. So stimulating the bone, feeling that pressure right into it. Big breath, lift the ribs up, breathing out, feel it from as much length as you can get while the bone drops. That's a tricky one. There's an inner kind of energetic lift, but the bones are heavy, they're influenced by gravity. Breathing in, breathing out, and then rolling back and forth, lifting the glute, rolling down, and rolling back into the tendon. Take your time here. You've both done this routine before, so you can start to be every time you revisit the routine more than once, the body kind of makes more information available and more unwinding occurs as the muscles become more elastic and more intelligent, really. And back and up and forward. So just gently allowing as much penetration as your body's ready to give you. So coming back, now we roll out. So we roll off the sit bone onto the side and same movement. Rolling, pushing the glute up a little bit and rolling on the side down. Possibly feeling the back of your thigh bone. Rolling up, so any kind of stuck, gluey adhesions is starting to wire out. There's a fabulous YouTube video that I like to have everybody who comes to my retreats watch, 5 minutes, called The Fuzz Talk. Arlene, I think you may have watched it. It's a man, a rolfer actually, dissecting a cadaver and showing how our tissue accumulates every night. I can't remember what it's called, but it's sort of glue accumulates between the sliding tissues of the body. And when we wake up, we should stretch and unglue everything. But human being, we don't, and the areas that don't get unglued accumulate more glue and more glue and more glue. So now we're going to go to the inner part. So we're back on the tip, rolling into the inner part, and then again, rolling back and forth. But he just shows the difference in tissue that has been glued for 3 days and tissue that's been glued for 3 years or 2 weeks. He said people think they're getting old. They've just got stuck together and you just need to unglue everything. So very, very funny and educational video that I highly recommend watching because it gives you a very deep understanding of what we're doing with this work or even exercise. We're really ungluing shafts of tissue and muscle and tendon that get glued together. So now come back to the tip. I like to every time get myself nice and wide on the sit bones. I pulled all the flesh away. It's like a widening so there's more room for the pelvic floor, you could say. And now I'm aiming in and towards the side of that tailbone. So you're rolling up. There can be a lot of tight tissue there. And just see if you can feel for where we find the beginning of your tailbone. There I am. Looking to constantly pull the flesh away so you can get to that bone. And just, even if it's hard for you to really feel it, just kind of, you're in the proximate area and the ball is doing its magic. Big breath. Breath out, stimulating that area. Breath in. Breath out. One more time. Breath out and rolling a little bit. So just be really perceptive what's happening there. So you're moving from the tail into the low part of the side of the sacrum. Big breath. Stimulate. I know my sacrum just adjusted. Moving a little bit up. So the ball is going up. We're moving down, tractioning the flesh and the tendons away from the side of the sacrum. Breathing out, rolling a little bit more. Breathing in. Breathing out. I'm coming on my elbows now because I get more leverage, and I'm very slightly leaning in the direction of the ball because I can feel more weight into it. Moving up a little bit more. So I'm moving up towards the top of my sacrum. Sacrum and pubic bone have a lot of relation. There's a lot of interconnection between those two. Now moving further up, so I'm at the top of the sacrum, moving towards the top of the pelvis, the bony structure. Breathing out, so beginning to, I hope, navigate the ball towards the side of the spine, so feeling the bony structure and the spine, and then rolling up to the waist just to stimulate the direction we're working, and come off and get the silver ball. So nice and long, getting it cradled as low down as you can, getting the lift, seeing how much traction you can get in the body, and then leaning back into the ball. So stimulating a much broader area of your pelvis now. Pressing into the ball. And one more time. Pressing in, lifting the hips a little bit and rolling up. So now the ball's in the waist area. Remember, we've made a longer waist, so take advantage of it. Pressing into the ball, so the side of the spine. Lengthening down. Decompressing. One more time. Pressing down. Lifting the hips and rolling a little bit further up. Somewhere around here, I stop holding my head. Straining it, pressing down. Now entering the rib cage, making sure I'm staying long with those ribs, pulling them away from the pelvis, not making them short. Lifting, rolling up a little bit more. Pressing into the ball, leveraging into the side of the spine and the ribs. Feeling that side of the spine. If it feels good, you can always do those micro moves to just get even more feedback from where that ball is. Lifting the hips, rolling up. I'm in the realm of my shoulder blades now, lower shoulder blade, lengthening into the ball. And lifting the ribs away. One more time. And rolling even further up. So side of the spine, top of the shoulder blades coming up. It's sometimes a lot more dense tissue because there's a variety of layers of muscles on top of each other. And it's a complete transition point of we're moving. There's arms that come in, there's the neck that comes in, the whole shoulder girdle has a lot of movement. Rolling up and now getting through and onto the neck. So in this position, roll yourself down so you're on top of, you've got the ball up at the top of this, hooked into the top of the skull. Breath in, and on the out breath, push the ball upwards to get more traction into the back of the neck. And lengthen, so it's like you're really lengthening the neck. You can also stretch the arm down to get even more traction if that feels good for you. And then after you've done that, roll back. So now the ball is on the side, and you're working into the curve of the neck. So we created length. Now we're getting that curve of the neck. So allow yourself to push the head. The chin is slightly going up, but the ball's keeping the neck long. And pressing, putting pressure into the neck and into those bones and into those muscles, very therapeutic. Softening them up and pressing. One more time. And pressing. And then from here, using your feet, you're rolling a little bit down again and onto the side. So very long, I'm using my body to traction my shoulder down and then drape my head over. Breath in, breath out, lengthening the head over the ball, softening the side of the neck muscle. They can get very tight. Breathing out. If you want to lift your head, you can. And lengthening everything out. Oh, feels so good. And rolling onto your backs. Take the balls out. And just take a moment and feel. And then when you're ready, come up to a sitting position. And thank you very much. I hope you really had a lot of opening happening. I'm sure to get my newsletter out next month, a more expanded schedule, more specific about what's going to happen in the classes. And so look out for that. That should come out definitely by the end of the weekend. And thank you. I'll turn the recording off now.